if I think about countries and the countries I operate in where people have very little personal disposable income, the cost of me and the cost structure about deploying, acquiring or issuancing those markets in comparison to markets where people have a higher GDP is much more challenging. So some of the stuff we're trying to work through is how do I get to what would be on one side almost a zero cost acceptance. So how do I get the zero cost, the cost of acceptance of a payment to be zero? So how do I get somebody a device or access to a device so they can accept payment that works, that's the marginal cost is almost nothing. How do I bring them into the system? So how do I run them through AML? How do I run them through KYC? How do I get that application process? How do I issue them a token for payment very quickly and very easily, again at no cost? So quite a lot of the work we're trying to do, some of which is up front, some of which is actually in the back office. So as I think about the way in which we see different regulators beginning to want to have data in country, many of the markets we're operating in are not like Europe where you have a pan-regional regulatory body. I've got each country has a regulator on a country-by-country basis. As such, how I reduce the cost of the infrastructure to very low. So I've got a low fixed cost base in order to be able to have that. And secondly, how, as I said earlier, how I bring the last mile to the merchant or the consumer, how I reduce that cost. And at the same time, helping many of the banks or other players in the region to think about how they can make commercial models that operate there effectively. I think it happens all the time. I think it's making sure that you help the regulator understand what you're trying to do. So when we look to enter new markets, and we're doing some work at the moment, one of the first things we do is try and sit down with the regulator, trying to understand what the regulator is trying to achieve, what concerns they have from a payments perspective, and therefore how we can adapt the way in which we implement our technologies to meet those regulatory requirements. In some instances, there are regulations that are many years old that we can then start to have a conversation with the regulator around, well, you wrote this at a particular time because of this, and this. The world has changed, and there's an opportunity that I can mitigate the risk you've been trying to mitigate, but using a slightly different technology in a slightly different way.